Hanging in, crazy.
We've got numbers this week. We've got lots of things. Go ahead, Mr. Bricker.
So just an update on the transportation, with ESY.
Thanks a lot.
It's gone pretty good. Today was a little bit different with regards to some of the issues, but most of the issues we're having are with student-related issues, students' issues on the buses, students not being home, they're on vacation, students not living in the district anymore, finding those different things out as you go and do the runs. But for the most part, First Student's been doing good with the runs, and we haven't had any timing issues per se. So that's very positive with regards to how that's been done. The very preliminary report of the data was provided to me, and that was as of, bear with me while I look at my calendar here. That was as of June 28th. I pulled that through. Ralph had asked for it. I had sent it to Ralph. I did not send it out to everyone, because by the time I created it, it looks exactly like the other spreadsheet, except it's got 100 rows, 100, so it's, well, there's 3 tiers. So you
I
got,
don't hate you, I promise.
so you got 3 tiers. You got the high school, middle school, and then you got the elementary school. So figure you had 94 runs roughly, for everything. Figure everything had 3 tiers. It's 270 plus runs. So that's been done for the AM, the PM. So since I've gotten that information, the routes have been updated, changed, the capacity has been changed. There's new buses that are coming online with regards to First Students, so I have to update those new buses. They're coming in. They're going to be going, most of the ones I was told are going to be 84 passenger buses, so that'll be bigger than the ones we have on our system, which are 72, which obviously changed the capacity. The naming conventions have all been corrected so that if bus 3 is running route 3, it's the same. You're not going to have route 5 with bus 6.
Well, that's great news. Very great news.
Oh, it makes my life easier too. So.
Yeah, and the drivers.
And so Karen's done a lot of work with getting that stuff created. So she's renamed everything, which we talked about, which was good for her, but bad for the spreadsheet that looks up naming conventions that no longer exist. So there's ones that had capacity issues, there's ones that had timing issues, those were feedbacks, and the next step will be this Thursday. We should be getting the next update. It might be sooner. Karen was in over the weekend working on that stuff, so in theory, most of the stuff should be done for Thursday to re-update the information. And then once that information's come up, then we'll scrub the data again, make sure there's no AM, PM mistakes where you have someone getting dropped off at 3 o'clock in the morning versus 3 in the afternoon. We'll do those data scrubs, and we'll do the time and point out which ones have the longer routes. So that's the kind of the next steps and where we'll go.
Okay. On ESY, how have I know that's an issue with people not being there, how the route times matched up with the actual times? Have you gone that far yet, or are you focused so much on the fall?
No, I have not tested, I have not compared actual planned at all. I have been keeping my eye on the ones. There has been no complaints really other than 1 or 2.
Okay.
Most of those are timing issues with construction that's occurred. Hard to get around those issues.
Yep.
The other thing is we've had students in, then they're moving to this program, then they're to this program. Those kind of things. Today was a lot of that, so today was basically spent on rerouting a lot of the people. Just to give you an example of how it flows. Where last Friday and Thursday, none of that happened. So it was much smoother on those days. So we're hoping tomorrow is smoother so we can keep progressing with the 18-19 routes. I know Karen was finishing up the non-pubs, most of them today, to make the changes with them. We have a lot of changes with the non-pubs, specifically with either increased enrollment, which is fine, easy to do. More importantly, they provide us enrollment that doesn't have kids that were enrolled last year, and we're going back to those schools to please verify these 18 kids that were enrolled last year and needed buses don't need the buses before we finalize our routes. So we're doing the back check to them right now with regards to that. We found several kids on their rosters that were out of district, and we let them know that they're out of district. Oversight, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I'm sure the sister at the school was not really lying about that. But those are the things that we've been progressing through, so in hoping that, Thursday we should have minor issues to start fixing up. And then, next week, they're gonna be testing the routes.
Deadline wise, we said Thursday, we're supposed to get back. That's right on schedule, right? We're supposed to get back on the proposed
14th.
final routes.
Mm,
Yeah, the 14th.
So we're,
Which is, what's that?
yeah, it's a
That's
Saturday.
Saturday, right. Trying to do that right.
If it's Friday or Saturday, I'll still get it done.
That's okay. All right, so my question to you is, at what point you're gonna just draw a line and say, you're gonna send to us whatever you have, even though we don't know they're changing, right?
I'm hoping Thursday is really close to where we're starting to make tweaks versus massive changes. So by Thursday, you'll have the AM, the PM, and the kindergarten middle day, that stuff, to see how it is.
Are you suggesting that the committee will have a report Thursday, or, because the last we had talked, is that you would have all the information Thursday?
I will have it Thursday, I'm hoping to get the data Thursday, and then provide you guys with the report Monday, sorry. Thank you for clearing that
No,
up.
that's fine,
I'm hoping to get the data
I just
Thursday.
didn't know if something changed in the last 2
No.
hours.
No. And then Monday, give me the time to make sure everything, the calculations and everything works. I mean, it's a big spreadsheet.
I know.
So,
Send the spreadsheet too, because I want to be able to work.
okay.
Not the whole thing, you just send me the
I'm
data.
gonna password protect everything.
You don't have to, just comment.
No, I'll send it to you.
So one of the things that we need to get to is, we kind of, it was in our schedule to get the board to, approve the routes. So the challenge with that is, we're looking to do that in July, and there's likely to be with input from the drivers and other changes, new enrollments and so forth, things that will likely adjust the routes to some degree. So I'm just looking for some input from the committee. It's not like we take an official board action on the matter, but I think the first step is obviously getting you, because this committee, the reports, to feel comfortable about, where we are. And then at least getting through the process of sharing those same reports, or, maybe even revise them by the work session, and then by the final meeting, making sure that you know at least, from a numbers perspective at the moment in time, that we have 5 routes that are still, over the time, we have 3 that are possibly, over capacity, and those things need to be adjusted, but we are where we are at a given moment in time, and that the board is comfortable with us continuing and proceeding forward, because we wanna certainly, create, and provide the information necessary to make everyone feel, a part of the solution, and have a good start of the school year. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on how we might, do that in a more formalized way.
Well, didn't we decide, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we decide last year we're not there was a lot of mention of why we're approving these routes in a board meeting, and we decided not to do it.
Is it in policy?
I just remember there being an issue and we didn't.
Well, we didn't approve the routes last year because, of the challenges with that.
Because, yeah.
So,
I don't have an issue, I don't necessarily think the board needs to approve anything as much as just see the information, right? I mean, the whole purpose of us being here and seeing the data is to just, it's just a level of oversight, and the communication has been great, we're seeing the first thing come through, we know where things were with the ESY, we saw where the issues were, there's a level of, I would say, cautious comfort right now, maybe comfort's too strong of a word, but cautious optimism per se, that we're making, comfort's too strong.
I'll see the final routes.
Right, but we're getting there, right? And there's, we're going. Data comes back through here, we'll raise some questions if need be. I think it's just a matter of, we just keep it in front of the board then, just, to put it out in July. I think something needs to be public facing facing outside of this meeting, like in a meeting that somebody will be taped and watched, you know, and Jim might watch this again, but I don't think, because I think it's important for people out there to hear, where this is the way it looks, these are the number of routes that we have, you know, the AM numbers match the PM numbers, some of those concerns, you know, this is where we set the limits. I think ultimately it needs to come back as a presentation, Tim, to say this is where we are, here's the, you know, this is the distribution of routes, you know, capacities, we've addressed capacity by, you know, looking at X, Y, Z as far as the number of, you know, kids on a bus, and this is our limit versus the bus limit. You know, put those facts out there in a way that, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to criticize whatever you want to say. But I mean, I'm happy to help you put that together, because I think what we put out there, public facing, needs to provide some level of confidence to people that it is going to be better than last year, because it has to be better than
And
last
I
year.
guess what I meant was, before we do anything, we need to explain to the board what it is that we're
Yeah.
approving or not approving, that's all I meant, because there was that issue last year, and we found out that it, and the policy is, the chairwoman is here, that there wasn't something that we had to do, or what they wanted us to do didn't have to be done.
It's fine, right?
But we have to find out
I
what we
don't
have to
see
do
that it's,
legitimately.
at least under 810,
It's not in there.
it's not listed that we have to approve.
I'm gonna confirm that,
Okay.
and then, we'll determine what to do.
But agree, some mention of it, some mention of the number of routes and what has been done is
I'll give a
good
complete
idea.
summary once it's done, how many routes to high school, what it was, and see if I can gather the information for how many routes we had last year, this year. I know they are looking at, bus one goes in the morning, bus one comes home. I know that's one of the big things they've been working on. I'm just hoping that the input from everyone continues to be so great. I mean, work between first student, Karen, supervisors and everyone in regards to checking the data, making sure everything looks right, handling problems, being responsive. If we can keep that level of communication up, and I think it leads to be, you know, a better result at the end of the day. I think that's, everyone's been working really good together and trying to get things together and filling in and stuff. So I thought, so far, at least my first time doing this, I'm feeling pretty confident that at least everyone's taking a real good look at it. Give the supervisors all kinds of credit for going through each route 3 and 4 and 5 times. First student going through their stuff 3, 4, 5 times with regards to checking the data, putting things together. So everyone's working together and wants the right answer. They want to get it done right, which is difficult because you're not going to make everyone happy.
And I think the first student should be part of that presentation as well. I mean, they were given responsibility for routing this year. What have they done to improve the process and not try to get rid of the issues we had last year? And then, Tim, from your perspective, what have you done on checks and balances on making sure routing parameters in the contract were followed? You know, the checks on route time and capacity and all that stuff.
Well-
And also, if correcting these routes have given us any cost savings, that'd be good to know as well. We'd be able to eliminate any routes or reduce the number of buses or anything like that.
Well, I know one of the things that they're working on is, so we had an AM only route, a PM only route. So they're looking to make sure that that doesn't happen, that you get an AM and a PM. Because when you have an AM only route, you're still getting billed for 4 hours, the base fee. If you do the PM only route, you're still getting billed for 4-hour base fee.
So I'm gonna provide some clarification, because when I was listening to Mr. Navarette suggest about a presentation, I was envisioning that we would do that in July, as a stepping stone for the PR and the notification of that we're working on these things, and this is where we are status-wise. The comments that you made, while they're good and they're part of the presentation, I'm wondering if they're in September, middle of September, or at the work session in September, or, because it's almost like resulting information, like this is what we did, because we won't really know all that, for real until likely September. Does that make sense, or you?
No, that's fine. I just remember when the first student was first given the contract, I mean, they were showing up every month. And I haven't seen them since, for years.
Wow. They were a couple of board meetings.
Well, okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but off base, but have you seen
Like a
this?
They got yelled
July
at.
pre and a September review,
No, but
how it went.
no, he's right, that's what I was thinking too, was this idea that, put it out there, these are the changes that we have made from last year, these have been our
Here's where we
focus
are.
areas.
Here's where we
This
are.
is what we can expect to see, this is, you know, even if there's preliminary stuff, hey, we've been able to reduce them, I'm okay with some of that. But set the stage to give people confidence that things are gonna you're gonna get your bus letters soon. And
Right, that's
know that it's gonna be better, that your kindergartner, you know, or maybe kindergarten's a bad example, but your, you know, your first grader is going out on bus 17 and they're coming home on bus 17. You know, that 6-year-old doesn't have to remember 2 different bus numbers unless they're
And then,
pinned to their
and then
chest.
with your thoughts, I think that we do like a summary of this is how we did this past year in terms of, you know, did we witness any savings, did we do all the things that we said we were going to do as a part of this? It's almost like resulting report, and I think you're right, and we should have first student involved in that process, but that's good. So we can do both of those things.
How's the relationship been so far with the new site manager? Have you cleaned up some of the initial shortcomings?
I haven't had any, it's also summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it works when the school
You're
year.
asking me when there's really limited
Yeah.
buses.
All right,
running.
Again, it's a new.
It's not a negative sign that there haven't been
No,
problems.
it's just,
We'll leave it at-
it's again, it's like, it's a new marriage,
Yeah.
you have a new partner and you're trying to get through, and trying to work together.
Okay.
We'll see how that pans out.
Okay. Alright. Any other questions for team? No? Nope. Alright.
Oh wait, can I ask one question? What was the final decision on high school parking registration?
Okay, high school parking registration, with regards to what they were doing,
Did we have a pricing? Did we
was
adjust pricing or we kept it the same?
$25 for the year,
With no waive option?
with no waive option. So they park, we'll phase them in. First piece is to do the $25 parking, and it's all year-round parking.
Is there thought of possibly adding that waive option the following year, just doing baby steps?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we just don't wanna change everything right away.
Big changes, it's
Gotcha.
all year-round, you get your spot for the year, that's a big change.
Okay, so,
Found that there's enough seniors, and if we keep it to seniors, it should not be a major issue for the most part. I think they did an online registration, I think 3 people had some issues, that's it.
Good. How about the coordinator job? Did that pan out or not?
Nope.
It's not. How are we gonna win?
The position is improperly titled,
Right.
and therefore it's,
But I thought we
It's a
reposted
track.
it with a new,
well, the title was the same, but we'll call it the requirements or the duties that were in the advertisement were adjusted to fit and more in line with what we were looking for. But the title is still garnering people who want to coordinate education programs and not necessarily help us with the process and financial pieces that we're really seeking.
are we going about this the wrong way? Should we post them for a different job and just
Yeah.
include this as part of the responsibilities?
So we're looking at different job descriptions and maybe changing around some of the wording to be less intimidating.
We're waiting till July 16th till our HR director comes on board, and this is gonna be a task for them to take over. I mean, we're just saying.
Welcome aboard, pal.
We're kind of in a little transition,
Solid
we're
stuff,
taking
yeah.
care of all the things in HR that we have to,
Yeah.
not starting
That
anything
makes
new at
sense.
this point in time.
alright,
Okay.
In all fairness, if anyone came in, I wouldn't expect them to be doing these spreadsheets. They're too involved at this point, unless that person came in with some serious skills.
Wow.
I mean-
You raised the bar too high. See? You made yourself irreplaceable.
No, I made it so that someone can put the data in and click reset and everything refreshes, so I don't have to touch it again.
Okay, last item on here, this preliminary draft report. That was on yours.
That is the report that, we are providing you now on Monday, next Monday.
Okay. All right, anybody have anything? Mary, anything?
No.
Mary? Anything? No? Okay. Courtesy of the floor? Yeah.
John, do you wanna go?
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. I have, some clarifications
Can you
about,
state your name for me?
oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer Doherty,
Oh, with it.
D-A-U, common misspelling. Can I just understand the relationship with Mr. Bricker and First Student and why they're not here? I mean, he just seems very intimately involved. Should they be doing these spreadsheets, or should they be here updating us, or can we just explain what everyone's role is?
Do you wanna cover that?
First student is in charge of managing the drivers, in general, managing the drivers, and we just recently provided them a contract for managing the routing,
Right.
which is what the district was previously responsible for. Mr. Becker is responsible for the oversight of transportation services, so he works directly with First Student and any other transportation providers to ensure that there's coordination of those services to meet the program needs of our students.
So is he looking at spreadsheets that they provide him, or he's creating spreadsheets for them?
Yeah,
So
basically
it's
he gets data, raw data from the bus boss system, and then puts that in a format that allows for the board to see it in the way that they would like it to be
So-
seen.
There's reports that can come out of Bus Boss, but to answer the questions that the committee has posed that I have the responsibility for answering, it's much easier to take the data dump and run it through and come up with a presentation which we created to answer all their questions by day. So,
And we authorized them to hire a routing manager? No, a site manager. What was the position?
Well, they've always had a site manager, and recently, I guess it was back in, I'm gonna say February of.
March first we started.
March, yeah. Well, she started in March.
Right.
So we subcontracted or amended the agreement with First Student for them to do the routing services, which meant that they would hire someone in First Student to do the routing.
For 60 grand, right? 60 grand.
Yes.
Yes,
We had additional
That's what we
expenditure,
paid.
60 grand for the
Right,
year.
right.
that replaces
But-
the MCIU and
Yeah.
goods, I guess, for.
It was, I
Well,
think,
just-
it was net, it was
Just
either a
based
wash or
on-
net savings.
Mr. Bricker's report, it just sounded like he was intimately involved in the routing for us having
No,
hired someone to do that, but I guess
No,
that's
not
just.
in this.
I'm just taking the data.
Section.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am far from able to get a bus from point A to point B.
I'm interested in something I talked about, who knows when, maybe February, March. So when you said 3 tiers, high school, middle school, and elementary, Skyview's in the elementary tier?
Skyview is what would be lumped into what would be called the middle school, cause it's
Okay.
one, it's just a generic term, don't take it as it being a middle school or elementary school. So there's,
No, I just know it has different start
Yes, and-
times than any of those tiers.
so they're just saying it's going to the middle school in a generic term. So there is you could have a high school, Arcola, Skyview, and elementary, so you could have 4 different schools to hit.
Mhm.
In theory, I haven't really gone that far into the routing with regards to it to see if that's what's happening, but in theory, that's what can happen.
Okay. And then, as a parent who's had issues with busing, I'm not so concerned, and maybe this is wrong, but I don't care if my kid goes to school on bus 8 and comes home on bus 300. I wanna know if specific things that we've talked about have been addressed, and if you guys are checking for that. For instance, just cause a bus can hold 84 kids, it can't hold 84 kids with backpacks and winter coats and instruments. I would like to hear at a July update that Methacton is saying just cause First Student says this bus can hold 84 kids, we're saying it can hold 70 or whatever number that is. Cause I feel like that's an issue we talk about in these meetings.
Yeah.
And then the school year starts and we're like, oh, we lost sight of that, you know, we'll push that off to next year.
No, so one of the things in the routing contract was specified was exactly that. So there's a legal capacity for the bus, and then there's like the Metacton capacity for the bus. This is at the most number of students we want to put on that bus. And then that was one of the numbers in the spreadsheet that I asked Tim for, was not just, it was how many riders are on the bus, what is the MSD capacity of the bus, and then what is that obviously as a percentage, so we can see what the loading is.
That's
on each of
something
these
as a
buses.
parent I'd love to hear in a bigger board meeting update.
Good.
I also wondered about bell times, because an issue for me at Arcola last year was that I was told over and over that my child was on time when his bus pulled up to the curb as the bell was ringing. And we had discussed that Metacton would also set their own parameters for when they wanted those buses to arrive ahead of bell times. Has that been addressed?
I don't know, you have to talk,
So
I
the
know we went
bell-
through a lot of things around the
Yeah, so I
schedules.
went over with all the principals with regards to the bell times. So right now for Arcola, the earliest arrival the buses can get there, or should be planning to be there, 7:50, between 7:50 and 8 o'clock. If you want to all of them, I can give you all of them, but that's.
Well, I guess I'm not concerned about the earliest, I guess I'm concerned about the latest.
8 o'clock,
And the bell time at Arcola is 8:05?
yes.
Okay.
That's in the parameters that they provide us. Now, again.
But can I ask why, because this was an issue for me last year and I got in this loop of, well, we ask the principals what they think and we go by that. I mean, maybe if there are still issues, maybe as a board we should set, or you should set, this is what we want it to be, you know, it's just seemed very inconsistent. Not all, I was told not all the schools' principals had set 5 minutes ahead of bell time, some had set the bell time. Therefore, because that principal set that schools as the bell time, my child wasn't considered late.
I did not do that this year. They're all 5 minutes early at least.
Okay,
I moved Arcola back with principal working with us.
right,
Same goes for all the elementary schools, they backed up too.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, Chuck.
I know what got me out on a nice summer night, and it was item F, preliminary draft report for committee review. I didn't hear any detail on that. What is that?
That's the report I'm gonna give Monday
On what?
on the transportation with regards to.
Oh, so that's
the routes.
under transportation. That item F, preliminary draft report for committee review. What is that?
Probably should be under transportation, in my opinion.
So that's a subcategory.
Depends on how you look at it. It is with regards to transportation.
Oh, I didn't know what it was.
Sorry.
Okay. The other item is, what was the item that disqualified Waste Management from, being the lowest bidder and causing the administration to come forth with Mascaro to collect our trash and recycling? And they were the second lowest bidder. What was that item? I would love to know what the item is that Waste Management was disqualified in the eyes of our administration.
I don't think it's not a property issue, I think it was a finance issue. But it
No,
was
it's a-
discussed in the last.
It's a trash bid, it's a facilities issue. I mean, why are we going with Waste Management? I mean, what was the item that was left out and disqualified Waste Management as our trash collector? What was the item? I mean, I just wanna know that.
I don't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Because we approved the bid to the second lowest bidder and something disqualified Waste Management, I don't know what it was. What was it?
Yeah, I think what I wanna do, Joe, is I wanna check with the solicitor and determine what I can release or not. And then if it's okay to release it, then I'll certainly give you the information.
Well, it should be able to release because you disqualified them as a bid.
Well,
I mean, it's all public documents.
I understand what you're saying, but I wanna make sure that if I'm gonna release the information to you, that I do it and I'm properly doing it. So I'd like to share that information with you, that I wanna make certain that I can.
Well, you made a decision based on it, a public decision based on it.
I understand, and I wanna give you the information.
I just
On the
wanna know,
advice-
did
on
they
the
leave
advice
out,
of
did they
solicitor.
leave out addresses, did they leave out a zip code on something, did they say they're taking their recyclables to a different dump that we didn't want them to take them to a landfill, or what
Well,
was it?
they weren't a local guy, that's why.
No, there's other districts going with the low bid that the IU put together, and they went with Waste Management. For some reason, we didn't go for Waste Management because somebody said a document wasn't submitted, or something wasn't submitted with Waste Management bid, and I just wanna know what that is.
And I'll provide that information to you, I just wanna make sure that I can give you the information.
Joe, if I recall correctly, there were only 2 districts
Mm-hmm.
that were impacted, that for which Waste Management was the lowest bidder.
Good for them.
Right.
They got a
That
deal.
was us, and it was another district. I don't know what the other district did.
Western Montgomery, Dewey County, technically.
Okay.
The other districts went with Waste Management? How many districts went with Waste
No,
Management?
Well, there's only
There's
two
only
that,
2 for which Waste Management was the lowest district in that bid.
Right,
It was Methacton and it was,
and Mascara was the second.
right.
right.
So there's only two, it was us and Western Montgomery County.
So did they go with Mascara? Western Montgomery County?
I have to check with them.
You said 2 other districts at the board meeting went with
Two-
Waste Management.
2 other were the,
All the other ones, all the other ones are Waste Management one or Advanced one.
Right.
Advanced was second and Mascara was third.
Right, but they went with Waste Management for the same document that was either missing or the
But
same
Advanced
reason.
didn't, Advanced didn't, in my understanding, Advanced did not contest Waste Management's bid.
That's not the point, but why did we go with Mascara instead of Waste Management?
And that's what Dr. Zerby said.
Either contested by Advanced or not. Why didn't we go with Waste Management since they were the lowest?
Because I said at the meeting, and I can say it again, that we received a contested to the bid. And based on the review of a solicitor, this was the recommendation that I brought forward to the board.
And what did they contest?
That's what I'm going to try to make sure that I can get you that information.
Because other people that went with Waste Management, it wasn't contested by Advanced, and they went with Waste Management. Right? They went with Waste Management instead of
As far as
Advanced.
we know, yes.
Right.
so let them get the right language back. And can you just tell us this?
Can you send that to me in an
As
email?
long as I'm okay doing that.
Yeah, just tell me. Let's find out.
Can you send that to me?
I sure can, if I'm okay, but I'll communicate you
One way or the other, sure.
Yeah,
One
absolutely.
way so I can sleep. Thank you. I mean, it bugs me. I don't know what was left out.
That's fine, and I'm gonna provide the information,
Right.
I just wanna make sure that I'm doing everything.
Yeah, we should have asked the solicitor then, that night when I asked it at the podium.
That wasn't,
He was right there.
that
If
wasn't,
you remember,
that
Jack
wasn't the
Dooley was
solicitor
sitting there,
that
Jack
did
didn't know the specifics of the contract,
He had that big Bible out in front of him, he had something.
the school code.
It's impressive.
Not that big.
Any other comments? Yeah.
Me?
Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you for answering questions and allowing the back and forth to occur. I learned a lot from this young lady here about busing that I didn't even think about. When it comes to our Arrowhead, all your problems that I see you guys bantering back and forth here are because you don't have a plan. There's no plan. You know, build, refurbish, close and redistrict. If you had a plan, you guys wouldn't have any problems. And, you know, I sat here for 6 months. You know, the close and redistrict, it was on, it was off, it was on. You guys can't come up with a plan. I guess that's the problem. And tonight, for the first time, I hear the decision won't be made for a couple of years. Who came up with that? Can somebody tell me who came up with that decision? Who made that decision? Can you tell me? Can somebody tell me?
That wasn't what was said.
It was. I got it on a tape. And this one I got. And
Decision.
this one I got, and I'll show you. Tell me who came up with that.
What we talked about was whether or not the action
Yeah.
would be taken for 2 to 3 years.
Well, why, okay.
Decision.
Why
We're
will?
gearing enough to make a decision this
Well,
fall.
why will the action not be taken? Well, who made that decision that the action won't be taken for 2 to 3 years?
The options we were talking about,
Yeah.
whether it was renovation,
Yeah.
or it was rebuilding,
Yeah.
wouldn't take effect for 2 to 3 years. We went through a timeline, you were here that night, we went through a timeline of what construction might be. If we were to go forth with a new building, it might take 2 to 3 years
Well,
to do that.
to close.
And then it might be sooner.
To close and redistrict would take a week to make that decision
Or something.
and to implement it, right?
That's not true.
No, there there's laws and.
No, what I'm saying, to make that decision would take a meeting, right?
No, there's a process outlined in law that requires us to do certain things. And
Right,
And it's over a certain period of time, which is more than that amount of time.
right. Okay, well, to consider the decision, right, when you did it with Audubon, right? How long did it take?
That took about a
2-year process.
but then that got changed.
Right, yeah. How long did it take? You have to have a public hearing. I understand the process. I was there through the whole thing, right? So who's making these decisions? Can you tell me who made that decision when you guys said a couple of years? Can somebody tell me who made the decision?
Nobody's made that decision.
No one makes decisions for the board out of a committee. We make recommendations, as matters of property that go before the board for decision making. So while there may be comments made by, individuals here, whether it's contractors, board members, administrators, there's never a decision made here other than to forward recommendations, for consideration by the board.
All right, so then, I guess that was just off the cuff. I guess my question, what's going on with the M&M study?
I'm waiting for feedback on this.
How long has it been out there?
Longer than we originally.
Okay. Where's your report on the various options for redistricting? It's supposed to be back June, July.
Yeah, it's partially complete. It needs the enrollment study in order to be complete.
Okay. Because here's my point. All your problems. Okay, here's another question. What would the savings be if you were to close and redistrict Arrowhead at this point? If you were going to go do that, what would you save?
You mean like next
Well,
September
let's just say they make
19?
let's say you make the decision, right? You go ahead, you close, and what would you save? In staff, administrative costs, all the rest of that stuff,
Obviously,
plus,
rather than before.
plus,
The answer that I told him was that any numbers on savings that will come out of any of these studies will come as part of your report.
plus, all the costs you're talking about here to do your renovations to the beat up Arrowhead at this point. Now, we already know Audubon, we'll just compare it to Audubon, is 1.5 mil a year you're saving in administrative, et cetera, right? Because that was your cost number for Audubon. I'll just use Audubon as an example. Plus, you don't have to do your renovation cost that you're talking about here. So 1.5 plus whatever you're going to save here, right? Then you don't have to talk about the add-on costs. You don't have to talk about the chiller, the roof, the blah, 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 blah. I read the facility study. What's it cost to do all these fix-ups to Audubon or to Arrowhead at this point? What, 10 mil? 8 mil? 12?
I think it was 12, the number that was 12.
You save 12 plus 1.5 a year. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. I already know what the enrollment study is going to show you. I told Mr. Navarrete about it. The birth rate's going like this. The numbers are out this year. Dave, you know. Are you still a liaison for Worcester?
Yes.
Are you aware that they just had a joint planning board of supervisors meeting on the Palmer track?
Yes.
Were you there?
Was not.
They talked about 85 townhomes and 2 commercial properties, CVS and Wawa. I was there doing your job. I asked them to do an enrollment study and a financial impact study for the district, because you guys are having a hard time. So here's the study that I got for you. So, here you guys go. You guys can give this to your M&M. Hey, I'll give you one
Did
too.
4K back?
Take a look. The applicants were nice enough to do this for me, for you guys. Did I give you one? So I'm just thinking of you guys. Sorry about the copy. I was rushing out of the house. So they estimate, I gave you my copy, Dave, sorry. It looks like I think I remember 23 kids they have coming out of 85 townhomes. And then they gave you the financial impact cost to the district.
And who did this?
The applicant's land planner. So, if you have any questions, you can call him. I forget the guy's name, but Larry Tornett is the real estate agent. I think the guy's name's Van. I can't remember his last name.
Weiss? No.
No. Van Rieger, that's the guy's name. So, it would have been nice if you guys were there, helping me out, giving them your insight as to where the district stands financially, and where you guys stand with regards to enrollment, and telling them that we need more commercial, because that's what I was telling them. That you guys are strapped when it comes to finances, and you're strapped because of students. That's what I was telling them, and that's why they provided me with the study I just gave you guys. So, you can read that, maybe give it to your people. One more question and I'll let you guys go. How are we coming with the right sizing of the district when it comes to our teacher situation? Dr. Zerman?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
How are we coming with our right sizing of the teacher situation, which plays into redistricting and not building a new Arrowhead and closing it? 36 too many teachers, remember? So I started in January, I went to July. We're hiring back furloughed teachers. Did you know that?
Yeah, any comment on this?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Jim.
well, I guess my point is, you need a plan. The plan is, I'm sure you're gonna present us with your findings. The plan is to close Arrowhead, redistrict, and take care of all the problems at once. That's my recommendation to the committee.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Anybody else have any other comments? Mr. Andrews?
There was some discussion this evening about board approval of bus routes. It's not required by school code. What is required by school code is board approval of the bus stops. And the school code is what it is.
Thank you,
You're on.
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Your memory sometimes is impressive.
And I think that the way we're set up with all of the facilities renovations, I think it appears to me that there's a lot of confusion and that the district should be better managing things somehow. I don't know what the solution is, but it's, we're dealing with a lot of problems. We have a 10-year plan. I think the Fadavia people are a godsend, but I think even they are struggling with the ideal solutions, and not that we ever have ideal solutions, but I think there are a variety of questions relative to just roofs. Flat roofs leak. People tell me that in Springport they don't have flat roofs. Maybe in some locations here, maybe the building should be modified so that it has a sloped shingled roof or a tiled roof or whatever. patching it up the way it was built is not always the ideal solution. But that's it.
Anybody else? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn, Mary? 9:39.
Oh, he's got it, I took a picture of mine.
Send it to us. I would just,
Okay.
no, I'll look for it to be posted.
Nice job there with that.
So that you know.
Makes sense.